Hello, my lovelies. It's time for my 2024 reading stats, so stay tuned. Okay, so I've done this a couple of years now, and I wanted to do it again. Just a quick list of different stats for my reading this year. So the first one was my goal was to read 60 books in the year. I ended up reading 128 books over the year versus 170 last year. And I'm not surprised that it was significantly less than last year, though I am kind of surprised at how many it was because I spent so much time traveling, and while I was traveling, I was not reading nearly as much. So for nearly half the year I was traveling, and most of that time I wasn't reading. So most of this got done in the second half of the year, which just blows my mind. Okay, next up, I read 45,977 pages. That's down from 65,024 last year. That breaks down to 3,833 pages per month, 884 pages per week, or 126 pages per day. And as I mentioned, half the year I barely read anything, so double all that really. My shortest book was Prosperous Demon by K.J. Parker. That was 101 pages. And my longest book was The Toll by Neil Shusterman at 625 pages, which for being my longest book, that was relatively short considering in the past some of my longest books have been, 8, 9, over 1,000. I remember when I was reading the Outlander series and those were like 1,300. So, yeah. My average book length was 359, which I think, I didn't write what last year's was, but the year before was also 359, which is weird. I think it's down from last year though. My average rating was 3.7 stars, which is down from 4 stars last year. So not as good of a reading year this year as I had last year as far as like what I enjoyed. And I can definitely see that when I break down the stats of each stars. So the most shelved book that I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. It's been shelved 4,698,827 times. It has 2,591,087 ratings and is a 3.96 on Goodreads. The least shelved book that I read was The Santa Company by Berlinda Wall. It's been shelved 67 times. It has 28 ratings and has a 3.57. So the highest rated book on Goodreads that I read was Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. This is number 3 in the Nevermore series. On Goodreads, it has a 4.48. When I read it, I gave it a 5-star. This was not one that I end up, I can't remember which order these videos are coming out, but this book didn't make my top 10 because I wasn't including any sequels in that. So just first in a series or standalones. But it definitely was up there. My lowest rated was Scenes of the Crime by Jilly Gagnon. It had a 3.01 on Goodreads, and I fell right into that as well. I gave it 3 stars. The first book that I read and rated for the year was The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Better, and I gave that 4.5 stars. The last book that I read and rated for the year was Candy for Christmas by Joanne Fluke, and I gave that 3 stars. It was a little short novella. So my overall ratings for the year. I had, once again, this year I didn't rate my DNFs unless it was something that like I DNF'd pretty far in. Typically in the past, I've given DNFs 1 star. If I read it all the way through but just didn't like it, it got 2 stars. 3 stars were fine. I enjoyed them. I liked them. I just wouldn't be reading them again. 4 stars is I really, really like them. Would definitely read them again, continue the series, whatever. And 5 stars is I'm obsessed. I loved it. So I had 4 no stars this year. I had 0 1 stars, I had 4 2 stars. Then I had 46 3 stars. That's a lot. But surprisingly, I had 54 4 stars. And then only 20 5 stars. I think last year I had significantly more 5 stars, but I don't know. A lot of the books were just fine that I read this year. Some of them are good and I would be willing to read them again. But there was only a handful that I'm just like, I am obsessed. I love this. I think that this video will actually come out before my top 10, but if not, either way. My stats for my top 10, I can tell you, I had 0 graphic novels this year, whereas last year I had 2. Last year I had 2. I had 1 middle grade this year, where last year I had 0. 1 classic this year, and last year I also had 1 classic. 2 YA, and last year I also had 2 YA, and then 6 adult, and last year it was 5 adult. So I can see my reading slightly changing. Every once in a while, I'll find one that really stands out. I don't find myself picking up a lot of children or middle grade books, except for ones that I already own, that I may have bought back in the day when I was reading them with Xander. I also don't gravitate towards classics, but it's really neat when I find one that I do enjoy. But I definitely feel like I'm veering more towards the adult reading than the YA reading, though occasionally there are some that I love, which, as you see, there's 2 that made it on my top 10. Okay, so those are all of my stats for this year. How did you do on your reading? Did you complete your reading goals for the year? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!